So now you have figured out PictoChart, you've played around on the website, and you know how to adjust and change the templates. So it's time to get started on your project. Uh-oh. Start at the beginning, the title panel. The topic of your infographic is the IB Learner profile. So your title needs to reflect that in some way. Maybe you've chosen to write your infographic only about one of the learner attributes. If that's the case, it needs to be in your title. If you're talking about all 10 of the learner attributes, then you need to reflect that in your title in some way. You're going to double-click in that header and adjust the words. Type in whatever you think will be appropriate. See, that wasn't so hard. Now it's time to move on to the second section, the introductory paragraph. Everyone's project needs to have an introductory paragraph of some sort. It needs to explain even more what the topic is going to be about. Why should people be reading your infographic? What kind of information are you going to be sharing that they need to know? And what can they expect from what you've just designed for them? Make it interesting. Once you've filled in your header panel, this top panel here, then it's time to move on to the body of your infographic and the other remaining panels. Part of your summative grade is going to be based on how you organize your infographic. So you want your second panel to be on something that connects easily to the topic. You can choose to start right away with some shocking facts and get really deep into your subject, or you can ease them in slowly with some fun facts. It's up to you. But make sure that it doesn't seem random and disconnected. Each panel needs to flow from one to the other. So for example, if you're talking about how people don't know what principled is, and then the next section, you might not want to go into what thinkers are. Principled has to do with feelings and how you treat other people. So it would make sense to organize your information and talk about caring as the next attribute, because that connects logically to principled. Think about all of this stuff before you start to put your infographic together, and it'll make this whole PictoChart process a lot easier. Whatever you do, do not just write down your survey questions, make a pie chart of the results, and leave it on your infographic, and that's it. Your readers might not remember the survey that they took a few weeks ago. So if you just make an infographic and have the survey questions that they forgot, they're not going to understand what you're trying to tell them. This is why we talked about reading the data and understanding and looking at the highs and the lows and trying to figure out what we can learn from these answers. If you found out that a lot of AIS middle schoolers don't know what it means to be a communicator, then you can talk about that, make a pie chart about how many people got that question wrong on your survey, and then explain that it's something that is important to AIS, or that it's important to an IB learner, or something like that. Don't just have nothing but charts and graphs and no explanation. Remember some of the infographics that we looked at that you said were boring, and you said that you probably wouldn't want to read it if we hadn't seen it in class? Don't be that infographic designer. Be creative. You don't have to fill in the boxes on the template on PictoChart. If you want to change everything, you can. You can draw pictures and save them on your computer and upload them using the Uploads tab. We're going to talk about that in class, and in another, Explain Everything. Think about all the stuff that we wanted to steal from the infographics on the gallery walk and from some of the infographics of the day, the ideas that we thought we could apply to our infographic, and we discussed them in class. You can do that with PictoChart. It makes it really easy. Even if you're not an artist, there are ways to make your PictoChart, your infographic, really creative. Don't just be stuck to the template. One thing is for sure, this infographic is not going to finish itself. So if you still aren't entirely sure what to put on your infographic, still get started. play around with the design, start putting some information in, discuss the survey results with somebody at home or somebody in your Google groups. Think about the pie charts that Google gives you on the survey responses or the summary of the responses, and get started with something. Do not put this project off to the last minute. It's due on May 22nd. Time is ticking.